You must choose your path.
On top of that, the territorial issues flared between Agnolia and Valgasland because of the Hellig...
I don't know how you say that.
the islands. The Swedish Navy is very concerned with this very volatile situation.
So they are having some problems about this island here.
Yes.
They both claim this island.
Yep.
Let's claim it for ourselves. Problem solved. Okay, let's keep going. Lucian looked slightly worried.
Unfortunately, billions of Swedish ren worth of cargo is transported close to Vagslag and maritime borders on the Markian Sea and the Grey Strait. This causes significant risks to our imports and exports and the cause of deterioration in relations.
1. The strait is of high strategic value to us. 2. We can't expect the worst.
1 is 2 is true, rather. So
Both are true.
Both are true, yep.
It is high value to us.
ISEF, the Navy, is keeping an eye on the situation from a distance, right?
We are actively monitoring the sea routes and cargo ships. For now, there is no immediate threat. But we don't know what can happen in the future.
What's the latest situation in Whalen? That's over here.
It is tumultuous in the south. As always, Viktor Smolak is expanding his powers among protests from Wezek people. However, he is quite positive about a normalization of a relationship between our two countries. Reports indicate that they have been warming up to Kontan international aid. As you know, Wilhelm's stability was always a concern for the region. But if we want to help them, we must not treat refugees like we did in the 30s. I still can't stomach the inhumanity of those people suffered.
1. A trade agreement with them would improve stability and increase mutual trade. 2. Why help such a disorganized state? Not sure about what we can do to help them. 3. Sordland paid enough by housing millions of refugees during the Whalen Civil War. No more. 1.
1? Yep. Give you money too, probably.
That's hopeful thinking.
I know.
But we are hopeful thinking. We are the president.
There would be many bargaining chips discussed, but Wilhelm could be a new partner in the region. We would also invest in stability there. Our main goal should be to avoid a refugee crisis like the late 1920s. That civil war had major security and economic repercussions on Swedish soil.
One of the demands of President Smolak was to tighten our immigration laws so the political refugees don't escape to Sordland. There has been a recent purge that pushed many blooders to flee to Bergia. It's definitely troubling.
Next,
Mr. General.
Gorham Outpost has regained its importance due to this. I'm sure you would remember that winter at the border outpost, Mr. President.
he was right. I did remember that winter. I remember the despair in the refugees' eyes when we forcefully escorted them back to the Whalen border.
It is in our national interest to prevent the formation of a failed state on our western border.
I agree.
Wilhelm has been increasingly aligning itself towards the Communist Alliance, another point to analyze.
Let's move on.
Two important neighboring countries remain, Lesbia and Rumburg. Which would you like to hear about first?
Now let's go about Lesbia. So Lesbia is over here, to our south.
Southern neighbor is aligning itself more and more with Arcasia. Lesbia is currently led by President Patricio Alvarez. They are the jewel of the continent and the second largest economy in Marcopia. Though wealthy, Lesbia suffers from excessive economic inequality. Our past relations have been great, but during the last decade, their investments to Sordland dwindled due to our instability.
Allying with the richest regional nation could be beneficial. 2. Lesbia is a sleeping giant. We should not awaken them. 3. They keep turning a blind eye towards the region, thinking that Lesbia is above it all.
Number 3.
But no! 1. Nico is also saying 1. Yes, 1. We are president, we want everything to be happy.
It could be, but it would also mean that we would draw closer to the Arcasia bloc and near the Arcasian Treaty Organization. I am certain that the recession has a lot to do with their retraction of investments. Once they see that money isn't in the picture, they vanish rather quickly because they are capitalists.
Ooh.
They have shown a selfish attitude during the Welland Civil War by closing their borders and funding refugees to cross into Sordland.
He cleared his throat. 1. Our values are too different with Lesbia. It will be hard to see eye to eye. 2. The capitalism of Lesbia is inspirational to me. Look at their economic power. Maybe we should do 1.
Yeah,
They sound like jerks.
they sound like jerks.
Yeah, just saying 1.
Yeah, they don't sound very nice. I completely agree. Lesbia has for a long time benefited from us through our old tariffs. They are after exploitation. There are hundreds of very privileged oligarchs who invest inside and outside of Lesbia. Some made significant business investments in the cities of Benfi and Valgen.
Now, what's the issue with Rumburg? They are very angry. This to the north, we are maybe getting war with them, so.
Now to the most troublesome nation, Rumburg, a constitutional monarchy led by Queen Beatrice Livingston.
This is Beatrice Livingston. She doesn't look angry or something. Interesting.
I highly advise caution and calculated action against Rumburg.
Actually,
Our military must be prepared. The threat is real.
They are strong and have the motivation as well as the means to damage us. We shouldn't give them any reasons to pursue aggression.
I will take your advice into consideration. 2. Rumburg is and always will be a rogue-like state. Nothing can be done about them. 3. We must prevent them from interfering in our affairs.
I take your advice into consideration.
I take your advice.
These types of nations will always try to make up a casus belli, a reason to declare war.
Wait a minute. I need to get this. Did you kick him out? Oh. These types of nations. Oh wait, you did it already. Hold on. And
Mr. General?
it's Joseph again.
While Thornburg openly denies such claims, their past and current actions make it clear that they want to destabilize us. The weapon caches found by our intelligence agency clearly shows what their goals are. Our military must be steadfast and our diplomacy vigilant. Valiant.
Looked stern and full of resolve. 1. The Rumburg threat is one of our top priorities. You can be assured of that. 2. I think the threat is far too overblown. No. I think it's 1. I'm gonna pick 1 here.
Oh, it's real. We are always in dialogue with our Rumburg ambassador to make sure each channel is open to solve disputes. We could use their aggressive attitude against them by convincing the international community.
Lucian grabbed the Lackhaven Times newspaper and put his finger on the article about the latest diplomatic incident.
Their abrupt announcement about the closure of the Rumburg consulate in Lockhaven is yet another step in their escalation. This covers the overview of the current situation. We'll move on to our trade choice and the response to Rumburg's diplomatic escalation.
The sun began to set over the hills surrounding Lackhaven. The team was ready to give advice on the new trade initiative and the response to the latest diplomatic incident with Rumburg. Peter arrived late, and a little rougher than usual. It must have been the drinking from last night. Who's gonna be Peter? Aturno?
Hey there, folks. Excuse my delay.
Would you like to be
I'm
Peter?
sure I didn't miss anything we didn't already know.
Yeah, I don't care who's Peter. I mean, we can just change it. It's just about, the reading.
Yeah. You were still supposed to be part of this meeting, also on time.
Oh,
Functionality is important. We are talking about serious subjects here.
Peter was assigned a task from me. That is why he's late, so let's move on. 2. They have a point, Peter. We should have discipline in the cabinet. 3. Don't comment.
What you gonna do with your old friend and vice president?
Well, saying that he needs to be here.
I know.
Excuse me, it won't happen again.
Oh, really? Lucian and Joseph look at Peter before David moved away from the subject.
Vice President will be part of the trade delegation, so it is great to have input on that subject, but also on the Rumburg incident. There are 2 issues at hand. Which topic should we tackle first?
We should address the diplomatic incident, or we should move on to the trade negotiations. Well, let's go address the diplomatic incident first.
Consul Sir Bron Harrington announced the closure of the 120-year-old consulate. Now their diplomatic staff is leaving the city to go back to Thornborough. He blamed the lack of security in Sordland due to the assassination and the subsequent protests, but it is obvious that they are making excuses.
Bastards! First they close the consulate, and then they blame our security.
The security situation is under control. They are playing with us. 2. Their concerns could be genuine, but this reaction is unnecessary.
Ooh, I don't know, you don't want to escalate it with them, but...
Let's do 2. First could be genuine, but this reaction is unnecessary.
Agreed. Other diplomatic missions have
Vice President?
worked. Other diplomatic missions have worked with our security units to increase the protection of staff and building. The neglect of President Alphonse and the chaos of the elections delayed our diplomatic effort.
Now there are only 2 Rumburg diplomatic missions left in Sordland. One is the consulate in Dare, and the other is the embassy in Holsword.
We are accustomed to the usual rhetoric, but this is far more serious. 2. I must display strength to my people. We can't be pushed around. Or 3. They are bluffing. We are used to it by now.
I think they're bluffing.
I think we're gonna be 2. Brio is saying 1.
find a balance for that.
You can be pushed around.
All of this may be a calculated plan of action to push us into a corner and act irrationally.
This is my fear. They might be looking for a casus belli and are slowly spiraling downward to find reasons to wage war.
Joseph was furious. He barely kept himself from slamming the desk.
They are worrying developments like the smuggled arms and the build-up near the border. Our military must be buffed up to stand against a regional power like Rumburg.
We either respond to this aggressiveness act with a diplomatic condemnation, or we retaliate by closing our consulate in Dome. I want to say that an escalation would be risky. This is early in our presidency. We should focus on creating a negative image of Rumburg into the international scene.
The people of Sordland must be protected no matter the cost. I say we respond equally.
Retaliate by closing the Sordland embassy in Dome. They think they can bully us. They were never so wrong. Write an official diplomatic response condemning this unreasonable act. Clear that Rumburg aims to destabilize Sordland and the region.
I'm for a strong response.
Yes, because you're
Can't be
Joseph.
pushed around.
Who is also, I don't know, it depends how fiery you want to be.
Let's just close the embassy for now.
Hell yeah.
As you wish, Mr. President, I should begin work by immediately informing the Ministry of Foreign Affairs and Trade. A strong response to Rumburg will boost popularity at home.
Appeasement never worked. I'm glad we're drawing a red line. Otherwise, they will keep escalating the situation.
Peter.
I like the determination, Mr. President.
We should move on to the new trade initiative.
Primary goal will be to successfully sign a trade agreement with one of our smaller neighbors. We have two options with our trade initiatives: start of new negotiations with our old partner Angolia and forming a new cooperation with Wilhelm.
We'll got a trade deal with Agnolia.
Hell yeah.
First off, the reason behind this option is more diplomatic than economic, although of course we can't forego the added economic value. Angolia is an old, valuable trade partner. The point we are at with the early negotiations is around the steel trade. They are demanding that we buy their steel for a higher price. That is because they think that the deal is far too imbalanced as it is. Their second main demand is a privileged access to our agricultural market. If we are to fulfill their demands, in return they are offering a full alliance with Sordland against Rumburg.
Looking at the current advancement of Rumburg near our borders, having a coalition against Rumburg could prove extremely useful.
True.
And you wanted to trade deal with them anyways.
Obviously, there will be consequences for entering a full alliance. Mainly, the issue is around the Heiji Islands. Voxland has clear intentions on taking over the island one way or another, and entering a mill alliance with Mongolia will make them furious.
I want to state my support for this decision to stick to our old ally Agnolia. Even though I disagree with their demand to relax immigration, we have cooperated with them on many issues in the past. There are obviously subjects that we would still need to tackle, like our economies. Economies, not the traded goods and what to do with immigration.
My opinion is that this is a good deal and we should go for it. The new Agnolian Prime Minister is trying to improve the existing relationship. The downside is that we would need to make concessions, a reality of any trade deal.
We'll be open to creating a new agreement that would satisfy all sides. 2. I don't want to give any concessions to them. 3. We can't position ourselves against Volksland.
I mean,
It's
satisfy
hard.
everyone seems good.
That is certainly a valid reason. If you decide that Agnolia is a good option, another point is that they have a very democratic system. After the recent elections, the PM has a mandate to arrange a fair deal with us. Martin Van Horten also is an avid supporter of relaxed immigration. Since we said we will tighten the immigration, he might be reluctant. Starting the highway construction, Ogdenland plays a part too.
Yeah, so we have good things and bad things.
Regardless, if we are going to increase our regional influence to previous levels, we might need to make amends with our neighbors. Ultimately, the decision will be up to you, as always, Mr. President.
I'm going to try to deal with Wayland.
Dealing with a fractured country like Wayland has its positives and negatives. Although it will be lucrative in short term, there are risks associated with dealing with such a country. They are proposing co-investment projects and a no-tariff agreement. They are also offering oil in return for attracting foreign capital interests from Sordland. However, it is possible that there will be international ramifications for getting closer with a country like Wayland. All in all, this is a very lucrative deal for us, however. We need to think about the consequences.
I certainly don't support the decision to become friendlier with Valen. We carried their burdens for decades. Their migrants flooded our country and now they're expecting a deal from us. Maintaining influence with Valen could prove useful. Yes, it's risky, but I think about our influence on the undeveloped region like that. We could also sell more products and enter their market easily.
I am of the opinion that it is simply too risky. Yes, we would gain resources and immediate capital, but I am afraid of the consequences.
I think the return is too lucrative to pass on regardless of the risk. Or 2, you may be right, it's risky. So, we have to make a decision very soon.
And you got all the information.
Well,
I don't know, we need money now.
it is risky.
Yeah, we haven't agreed on anything yet. It's just the information that we got.
I tend to agree. If we wish to go forward with the deal, when the time comes, there's a topic of immigration to consider. Wiltor Smolak is a known isolationist. Our promise to tighten the immigration will increase the likelihood of the deal. He believes our borders need better security. I personally don't like the idea of getting too close to Wayland. Me too.
Agreed. I still think we should give it a try.
Our campaign promises to steer Sordland towards the east, and United Continental will have an effect on the negotiations. Especially with Wayland. As you know, the current affairs of Wayland are partly a result of the United Cortana's support of weaker Smolak. Our promise will come in handy.
Yeah, so we have all the good things to make a deal with this country.
that you don't want to deal with.
As for Agnolia, this promise had made them cautious, which might make it harder to get a good deal. We also need to consider the effects of our economic doctrine plan. The fact that we are headed towards a planned economy will have an influence.
Good negotiators optimize the interest, which makes the difference become trivial, allowing both sides to reach a deal.
Very true, Mr. Vectorn. We have a lot of time to prepare before the scheduled visits to Wayland and Agnolia. I believe this gives a brief overview of our current options. Our trade delegation will begin work towards the end of the year. We expect a final negotiation and the signing to happen next year.
I'm very much looking forward to visiting Starport and Vrakalavitz with party members like David and Simon.
Peter laughed, and Joseph narrowed his eyes and stared at him.
Well, that concludes our meeting, Mr. Rayne.
Thank you all for coming, have a good day and enjoy Lackhaven. See you later and good work. Have a good
Later
day
again.
and enjoy Lackhaven.
I will take my leave then.
Sir?
The meeting concluded and the team dispersed. Our diplomatic action plan officially began.
Whew,
It was a long one.
that was a long one. It was a lot of information.
But yeah, it's actually true what Nico
was
is
a lot.
saying. The deal with Agnolia is already not beneficial, and if we make a new deal with them, it will not be good for us financially.
It's not beneficial for them. We have the upper hand in the trade deal.
Yeah, right now.
At the-
But if we make a new one, they will get more of it than we do.
They will get more, but we also gain.
Yes, but if we go
We
to
will just gain
the
less
country
than they do.
in Wayland, we have more opportunity and we have the same thoughts as well.
But we have to throw away our morals, potentially.
Yeah, and if we go with Agnolia, then we might get to war with Falkland because of the island. It's going to be
But-
interesting.
Yeah, it's not easy, is it?
Let's see where we are now.
Morals,
This is still turn 2. Yeah. Well, I am gonna end the stream for today. So I will make a save.